Let's get this going. ShoWTimE spawns in as our red Protoss play on the top left side of the map against the blue Terran bottom right. FanTaSy, game 1 of this best of 5 series. So, getting this ready to go, setting up and having a little look to see what's going to happen here in this PvT best of 5 on Disco Bloodbath for our first map. I don't really know what to expect, actually. It's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be very interesting. What's up, Izumism in the chat says, Wardy, is your mom doing better? Yeah, she's doing okay. I mean, just a quick update overall. My mum was in hospital. She had encephalitis for a few months earlier this year. She's come out, because the encephalitis was so bad, she has permanent scarring to her brain. So she's lost vision in part of her left eye, which is going to be like a permanent effect apparently. And she's also... She's doing okay, but there's just certain things she's not good at, and she's still in recovery, so... She is doing better, but obviously it's kind of just overall a bit shit, to put it simply. I know that's not a great way to put it or to explain anything, but it's a bit shit, but hey, you know, at least she's out of hospital, so thumbs up in that regard. I'm saying thumbs up a lot today and the last couple of days. I don't know why, actually. I don't know what it is that's on my mind that's making me say thumbs up all the time. Anyways, let's talk about this game a little bit, because obviously FanTaSy coming through has had a pretty decent run so far in this Summer Championship. 3-1 against Bly in the previous round. In the Korean tournament, he went on a pretty good run first in his group, and then did have to unfortunately forfeit in the round of 8 due to a conflict of scheduling, but did come through the tiebreaker in some pretty cool games against Australia. ShoWTimE, the winner of our European Regional, and showed us why 3-1 pretty convincingly against Namshar in the previous round of the main event here, so that's obviously been him just showed us kind of, you know, he's ShoWTimE, he's very good. I don't know, like, FanTaSy's been playing really well lately, but obviously so is ShoWTimE. ShoWTime's always playing well, and I always feel like ShoWTimE's PvT is very dangerous, because he is one of those players who's so good defensively that he's not going to let slip away for the Terran player to get some damage in, to get ahead, and to start running away with the game, or if he does, it's very rarely. As we're going to be seeing the SCV is on the way out, and the command center going to be finishing up on the natural expansion 2. So the Reaper of FanTaSy is going to be heading in towards the main, jumping up to see what's going on. Gateway, Cybercore, going to be able to block that Reaper from jumping up into that main base any further there. As we do see the Robo Facility is going to be coming up, finishing in a few moments' time in that main base. So getting that finished as Reaper again hops up, hops down, hops all around. Reaper back out into the center of the map. Probe is kind of going to come back home. No proxy to anything just yet from either player, actually. And obviously ShoWTimE had that probe across, so maybe could have done something a little bit funky, as we do see the hallucinated Phoenix is going to be heading in toward the main base. So that's going to fly into the main. A few Marines are going to be able to turn that hallucination around, so a job well done there, just deflecting that and keeping it at bay, as these 2 extra gateways on the natural expansion will finish up, morph themselves into warp gates, and again, get set up to go from here. Banshee continuing up on the starport, 2 extra barracks dropping in. No real messing around, right? I mean, a bit of a Marine tank opener maybe can get a bit of an aggressive push-off with this. Especially effective on this walled-off position from ShoWTimE. If he loses this gateway in Cybercore, that's obviously quite a few minerals he has to rebuild into. That's a bit of a nuisance for him. So that's definitely maybe what FanTaSy could be looking for here. Usually the Cloakless Banshee Siege Tank Marine opener does lead to an aggressive push, because they are all super high DPS units out of the barracks factory and the starport, and he is going to be able to second Banshee, so that even reaffirms my idea, I think, that he really wants to push across a little bit here, try and deal some damage. And I don't necessarily think it's a great map for this kind of push, but again, when you're guaranteed a gateway and a Cybercore, then it kind of becomes okay, and then maybe ShoWTimE gets in a bit of an odd spot trying to defend the third, because if he can just set up his natural ramp, this is a very easy position to hold, but he's taking a faster third base, and so then he's going to have the presence to come forwards and defend. Now, the charge upgrade will go a long way to helping out with that +1 armor too. If those upgrades finish before he has to take a fight here, amazing. They're going to absolutely rip this army to shreds. So let's see if he can get that up. Obviously, at the moment, though, he has no real way to kind of buy time on the map. Hallucinated Phoenix will scout the edge of this army as ShoWTimE. Continue to send those across to keep up with information at the moment. Goes into the main, turns around back through to the natural. Templar Archives is starting up here, going to be about halfway done. Still Marine Tank. Continuing up to the top side. A few SCVs as well. And you do see a couple Stalkers, couple Sentries. Being able to grab a kill, and again, still just pressing forwards. First tank sieging. Second one is going to set up also. So a couple tanks getting sieged up. Nice scan. Grabs the Observer as Marines and Banshees going to go in. And, well, this third base, this is what I mean. It's a very difficult position to hold, right? So how do you do that? Well, it looks like ShoWTimE may just give it a few moments. As Zealots, they have charge. They don't have the armor upgrade yet, as the Stalkers and the Sentries are just going to fight against the Banshees in the back, but now this doesn't work at all, and ShoWTimE is just going to fall apart to the push of FanTaSy. A couple more Stalkers coming in, 4 more Zealots warping. He's using the shield battery to heal the Nexus, trying to buy a few more moments here, but he just is missing those couple of extra units. The Banshees did a really good job trading their back. Good target fire on the tanks onto the Stalkers. Another Observer scan down, and, well, again, a hell of a push out of FanTaSy to grab this game number 1. There is no way ShoWTimE turns that around, and the GG is very fitting for the moment. Where those Zealots are overwhelming and are able to come in and end that game, or end that push at least, rather than him just bleeding out units a few at a time, which obviously eventually just means that FanTaSy has an overwhelming number, and reinforcements then aren't going to do anything. Bottom right-hand side, up 1-0, our red Terran player. This is FanTaSy. Taking on the blue Protoss in the top left-hand side, ShoWTimE. As we kick off into Game 2 of our best of 5 here. To see how this continues. Tomorrow, guys, we have a double header of StarCraft 2. WardiTV Summer Championship action from the start. It's going to be starting up at midday, 1 p.m. CEST again. And then 5 hours after that, we start the WardiTV Lenovo Legion Invitational number 2 with myself and Hearthstone casting. That's going to be at 6 p.m. CEST in a pretty fun group there. So it's going to be a full Saturday of StarCraft. We are streaming all day long. It's going to be freaking awesome. It's going to be real good. So, yeah, looking forward to it. As we do see the couple SCVs coming back around. Going to be able to pick off a probe, pick away at a probe. Reaper on the way out. We are just going to be seeing the probe is going to get pushed away. There's the command center will drop down in the natural expansion. So, getting the CC up and running. Supply depot just going to be building up there as well, as this Reaper is going to pop out and is going to be heading up the right side. And of course, maybe see where it wants to go. May check for proxies, and like I say, up the right side is a pretty typical way to check for proxies. ShoWTimE has hidden his probe behind what is the 4th base mineral line, so don't think the Reaper will go all the way over there. Would more so expect the Reaper to, do this, kind of loop around a bit. FanTaSy just looking for early information, as ShoWTimE will absolutely have to change up his initial setup here, I feel, in the early stages of game number 2 to see what's going on. As an Adept, just going to go patrolling at the front of the natural. We see the sentry about halfway done from ShoWTimE as well. And ShoWTimE's probe down the right-hand side, heading forwards. Marine is on the patrol to try and shut that down, and the probe has to turn away pretty quick. Command center finishing up, and Reaper again trying to see what will happen as it tries to poke in. Twilight Council about halfway done in the main base, so Twilight's still on the way up as well as the probe of ShoWTimE. Up the right side, really just escaping away. He's just been trying to pick up some info here and there, keeping him on the map, and Twilight. So ShoWTimE changing up his playstyle here. The Twilight will give him Blink, which will give him a bit more control on the map than what we saw the Robo facility giving him, especially considering he didn't even build a prism with the Robo. So you just see the Reaper coming around the top side. Hallucinated Phoenix is going to continue its way to the bottom right as well to continue to scout a bit more of what's going on. Hey, Wardy, are we going to see Clem versus Mana today too? Yes, it should be our 4th series up today. So this is our 2nd series. The winner of this will play Gumiho in our 3rd series. Then we should go into Clem versus Mana. And time permitting, our 5th series will be the winner of Clem Mana versus the loser of this series. So that is the current plan of action for today. Again, just going to see how the day goes and the sort of the time we're at and stuff like that as well, just to make sure we have a good length for stream and so on and so forth. Marine's going to go jumping in towards a bunker, as we do see Robo Facility will finish from ShoWTimE here on the front. What's up, M Canning coming in with the raid, by the way. Welcome everyone from the M Canning stream. 263 of you. Man, is that even the real M Canning? Doesn't the real M Canning have 2,630 viewers? I think Twitch is bugged, guys. I think it's missing a 0. What's up, dude? Thank you so much for the raid. I'm not trying to insult M Canning's viewership. I'm just trying to pick him up. I realize now suddenly that could be taken the wrong way. It's 2019. I might get arrested for that kind of stuff. So, thank you, MCAN. Hope you guys had a great stream with the MCAN. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. I haven't watched the MCAN stream for a while. I need to get myself back over there. I used to be a good old MCAN sub, and I'm probably not right now. I'm not gonna lie. I need to go fix that. It's September, You can't be not subbing to the best people in the business when it's September. Half-price subs. There's no reason not to. So Hallucinated Phoenix comes in from ShoWTimE. Having a look around into the main base. STEM Combat and +1 all on the way. FanTaSy 3rd CC as well. So this is obviously a much more focused on kind of, just getting up into the later stages of the game rather than the last game where obviously he pushed pretty early on. ShoWTimE was not really deterred or thrown off too much from that first game, however. It does have his 3rd Nexus coming up pretty quickly nonetheless. So getting that set up, getting that rolling. And it's already saturated, right? And obviously off of the Stalker Blink opening, you do have the charge to come up pretty quickly afterwards. And once that charge comes up, a lot of gateways, double forge. You're really just going to play very gateway heavy for a while. A bit of support from Immortals and Archons eventually as well. As we do just see the charge upgrade is going to be finishing up in a few moments' time. Extra gateways dropping down. And I'm just going to be seeing the Temple Archives for the Archons to come into play as well here in the next couple of moments. I'm seeing as FanTaSy hits Stimpak, etc., he'll start to be a bit more aggressive. The drops can load up and get ready to move across the map. Have a little bit of a look to see what's going on. Units into the center. So I was just dealing with an issue on the other screen for a moment, but all good. So a bit of bio pressing forwards, and obviously this is where FanTaSy starts to get aggressive. But ShoWTimE's going into Storm. ShoWTimE comes forwards here. What does he try and do with the Stalkers? Not much. Obviously targeting a Raven would be pretty nice if he can get there. Okay, Bio continue press forwards then, and Raven hits an anti-armor missile on the same set of units that were already hit, so nothing too substantial, but down 20 army supply. This is a moment where ShoWTimE really has to find a chance to hold on in this, so he needs to try and hang on. Widowmine's not going off just yet, now starting to hit some of these Zealots as they run forwards. Storm comes into play and will hit some of the Bio units coming through. Yes, Widowmine taken down before it can burrow another Widowmine. Not quite targeted. ShoWTimE. It's that siege tank that's doing quite a bit of damage continuing on in all of this. The War Prism just got taken down. The High Templar Storms didn't do much. And ShoWTimE just can't hold on. A little bit too much Bio continuing to press through. High Templar goes down, a couple more Stalkers. That's GG. And FanTaSy going here, and let's go into game number 3. Just before we kick it off, I realize my stream labels isn't open. Give me a second, guys. I want to be able to see all the beautiful resubs coming in and stuff. Because you're all about to subscribe, right? Right? Thank you so much to The beautiful Merly Brum, coming in with the Twitch Prime sub for 2 months in a row, says, "Thank you for your commentary and passion." Well, thank you so much for your watching and your passion. ShoWTimE, top left on Triton, our Red Protoss player against a proxied Barracks here from FanTaSy, whose aggressive pushes so far have been winning the games. He's our blue Terran bottom, right from Pixel 1. Looking good to make the winner bracket semifinals, where he would play Gumiho, and it would mean an all-Terran round of 4 all-Terran winner bracket finals, a Terran guaranteed in the grand finals. That's where we're at the moment. As we do see a factory proxied with this as well, so this is more than just an initial sort of, Reaper in, take an expansion at home. This is going to be really aggressive. So, instantly goes into a reactor now on that barracks. FanTaSy is going to force ShoWTimE to defend here very early on once again. So ShoWTimE, it's so important for him to make sure he can defend this properly and effectively. He has to hold this game. If he doesn't hold this game, this series ends after this one. I mean, he is down 0-2. FanTaSy on a very convincing match point so far. Stalker will get a couple more shots off. Doesn't kill the Reaper, but good deflection. No losses taken. ShoWTimE can't go across. The thing is, ShoWTimE knows the rest of the buildings aren't here, right? So he should know he can't really go across the map. He is going to send the Zealot over to the left, which is going to give him very good info of what's being built. You see the barracks with a reactor. You will not see the factory just yet. It is down the ramp. ShoWTimE will not go there. I mean, obviously seeing the barracks and a reactor already is pretty good info. As the Zealot pulls back a little bit. Joins up with those couple of Stalkers here. So a couple of Stalkers joining up as well. Going to see the medevac is on its way out. Stalkers will start to deal some damage. I mean, the Cyclone here initially is going to be able to get a lock on, but loses it. So Stalker pulling back quite effectively, and with a little back and forth at the moment. Problem is for ShoWTimE the fact that obviously these units are not in the main base to defend if that medevac lifts them up to the main. So that would kind of be the next stage of this. Cyclone going to come forwards. Obviously ShoWTimE walling off here is not too great for him either, by the way. You see the Cyber Core already going to be attacked. The triple shield battery is on the front. Not going to do too much here either. See a couple of Stalker shots continuing to go down. Still nothing too substantial overall, though. Stalkers continuing to fight away. Cyclone has to lift up. Siege Tank will get going and firing on that Cyber Core. Quite a bit of damage being done. ShoWTimE still trying to come in and deny this. If you can come in from the bottom and deny that Siege Tank, this isn't so bad for him. He's going to build a second pylon here, keep his gateways powered up. As you see, the Siege Tank will go down. Suddenly, the Cyclone drops pretty quickly as well, and the medevac will go down. High ground vision is lost, and Stalker Cat will certainly do a very good job picking up Marines and pushing their way over to this left side, where he sees the Liberator going into the main. Big problem now is obviously the Stalker's not in position, but he could warp in another couple of Stalkers to deal with that. Seeing it going into the main means he knows he'll have to deal with it. The Siege Tank pops out. ShoWTimE will not get a response to that yet. 2 probes killed by our Liberator here. Stalker's now in range of the Siege Tank. ShoWTimE would kind of maybe like even a recall to bring these units back. It's a little bit tough to see. He has a few Zealots off to the side. Where are the Stalkers going? Are they just going across the map? Oh, well, obviously there's absolutely nothing to deal with, units across the map. So ShoWTime's just going to say, okay, I've got enough. I've slowed you down enough to just defend with reinforcements. He knows here if he can kill that Reaper, the high ground vision is not going to extend too far unless the Liberator pokes further forwards. And here we go. Kill a supply depot too, and obviously a supply block comes in, kill SCVs, and there's not going to be any mining left. And FanTaSy realizes it's time to go. When Siege's units starts to bring them forwards, he's just going to push up into this natural expansion. Do you even need to defend the natural? Well, not really overall, but it does have the shield battery, so it's definitely the better position to defend. You're going to see the first siege tank goes down pretty quickly. The second tank wasn't even sieged yet. ShoWTimE having to pull away, still just leaving the Stalkers to pick away at SCVs at the moment. Now these Stalkers pulling back very nicely so far, and obviously ShoWTime's getting more and more reinforcements. FanTaSy has nothing left. He doesn't have the gas to build anything else. He's got this one tank, and now he recalls the Stalkers back home, having done enough damage to truly try and come in and shut down this attack. And it really, really feels as though ShoWTimE has dealt with this masterfully to take us to a game 4 of the series. As here we go, pressing forwards. He is going to just come in for the medevac. He's going to get the Liberator, and that's a lot of the damage gone. The Marines are doing a lot as well. The Stalker can definitely take some hits. A new siege tank showing up. ShoWTimE lost a lot there. Those Marine numbers are really quite serious, but ShoWTimE is still mining. And ShoWTimE, obviously, as long as he's up against basically not much else, he's still... I mean, there's actually one gas mine here from FanTaSy who started up mining again. Oh my god, shield battery's on the high ground now as ShoWTimE maybe realizes the trouble he may be in. A couple extra stalkers being brought forwards. That one siege tank is so low. A medevac being made. The problem is ShoWTimE can't just dive on the siege tank again. It's just not going to work. Not going to work in any way, shape, or form. So the stalkers spreading out a little bit. Tank sieged up. Pressing forward. Shield battery will take a little bit of damage once again here. Tank firing continues, and again, just gonna see that shield battery just about gonna give out, so tank sieging up. FanTaSy's attack still going on. ShoWTimE trying to hide away in the corner just a little bit now, but well, it's definitely a little bit scary for him. He's chrono boosting warp gates to get as many warp-ins as possible. FanTaSy is on 8 SCVs. I mean, the rebuild from the 4 workers that he had. Tank still firing on this Nexus. ShoWTimE just getting as much mine from it as he can. He'll put the shield battery onto it for a little bit as well. Again, time should be in ShoWTimE's favor, right? Because if he mines for longer, he gets into a better position. He's going to go for the Nexus. Here he goes. Zealots pressing forward. Stalks from ShoWTimE coming in as well. 2 siege tanks are here, so the numbers are pretty good. The Zealots are doing a lot of good initial tanking. This time the Stalkers have a much better time because the Marines are not able to just fully focus the Stalkers. They had to kill some Zealots initially, and this should be enough now, I think, because now the Stalkers can kite against the Marines. Just needs to keep on kiting, and he does lose one more Stalker here, but the Marine count is down to 5. The medevac's out of energy. ShoWTimE will lose a natural expansion, but we're talking about pretty much no units left from FanTaSy with 8 SCVs at home. ShoWTimE can re-expand, and ShoWTimE will hold. What a hold by ShoWTimE. All said and done. It got a little bit messy at a point, but able to turn it around, and FanTaSy will GG out to give ShoWTimE his first point on the board. ShoWTimE really getting it brought to him right here, but makes a hold. We have got to the bottom right-hand side. No, this took a little while to set up, so apologies on that. But to the bottom right-hand side, a Red Terran player. Give it up if you're cheering on FanTaSy. As in the top left, our blue Protoss ShoWTimE from Makers. Game 3 of this. Sorry, Game 4 of this best of 5. It's been an aggressive one. It's been a quick one so far. Get this set up. We get this ready to go. Gateway is dropping down into the main base here. So getting that gateway up and running. There's a barracks, a refinery setting up as well. Guys, if you have got a moment, I will remind you guys that the Matcherino page is a fantastic way to support this tournament. We have coupon codes available. So !Matcherino, let's use up those coupon codes. Obviously, don't let them go to waste, please. Let's use up those coupon codes and support the tournament. Of course, there's a bunch of other free links you can click, and of course, if you want to support further, donations go a long way to helping us run more of these events in the future, and of course, supporting this one. So do check that out over on Matcherino, !Matcherino in the chat. We do have the Reaper starting up here from FanTaSy, so getting that ready to go. Reaper on the way out. Probe gonna wander its way back down to the natural expansion as the Nexus coming up from ShoWTimE here as well. Probe is going to be escaping away out into the center, and continue to get ourselves into just a bit of a scouting war for the early few moments. I say scouting war, but there's no scouting from FanTaSy. He's going to play it blind for the early stages. Of course, guys, if you're really enjoying the stream, don't forget that follow button is your best friend. And of course, it is September, so you can subscribe to the stream for half price if you haven't done so already. So, yeah, please do subscribe away, people. We're trying to push towards another sub emote slot. We're kind of far away right now, but if we get a bit of hype, we get a bit of action rolling, it's very possible. If you were one of the wonderful people caught up in a gifted sub in the last week or so, don't forget you can extend that gifted subscription for half price as well. So instead of being subscribed for 1 month, you'll be subscribed for 2. That also helps us a whole bunch. Helps us stay away from that sub drop-off when the gifted sub ends. Make the most of it, $2.50. And you can support StarCraft 2 Esports. We are putting a portion of every subscription towards a tournament. And you might have heard me teasing the WardiTV Team League Season 9 on Twitter. I've decided that because we've had a ridiculous amount of subs this month, that I are putting at least $1 for every subscriber this month towards the prize pool of WardiTV Team League Season 9. So if you use your if you subscribe for $2.50, $1 goes towards a StarCraft 2 Team League in the future as well, on top of what we usually take out of each sub for the tournament. So you're going to donate over $1 to the WardiTV Team League, essentially, as well as supporting the channel and so on and so forth. So go check that out, guys. Check that out. Blink on the way up here from ShoWTimE. Chrono Boost now on the Twilight Councilors. We do have a Reaper from FanTaSy hanging out on the top side. Hallucinated Phoenix from ShoWTimE coming down the bottom. Man Center fast 3rd CC. Really good information for ShoWTimE here. FanTaSy has a pretty laid-back 1-1-1 setup. Just the Reaper to poke across. Sees a pylon to the 3rd base, so has a good idea that ShoWTimE wants to move over there at some stage, and ShoWTimE is there very quickly. 4-minute 3rd next, is not wasting any time. Has Blink coming up, going into the robot facility too. Would expect maybe a similar kind of start to what we saw in Game 2. Blink into charge, and Immortal or so to back up the Stalker Zealot. FanTaSy's going for a similar kind of build to that as well. That Raven on the way out, obviously a 3rd CC, you can move into position here as well. A few different choices for him. As we do have the Reaper coming up to the top side. 2 Forges on the way in the main base. Reaper's going to back away as well, and again, just a bit of movement around here. Raven going to be continuing up, going to finish in a moment or so. Cloak on the way from FanTaSy. And that siege tank is going to be popping out in a moment or two, and obviously that gives you a real kind of good pushing potential. It gives you some good defensive opportunity as well. As we're going to see the Hallucinated Phoenix going to get locked onto. Hallucinated Phoenix will go down. Banshee is setting up in the main base. Siege tank coming out again. This time it's Cloak Banshee though, right? So you're putting some money in towards the Cloak and that sort of tech choice. Ooh, FanTaSy's going to play mech. Okay, FanTaSy's going to play mech. This is something that FanTaSy has been doing a bit of. Instant scout by ShoWTimE, by the way. That's so nice. To see this immediately is just amazing for him. That's actually incredible, as you do see the Hallucinated Phoenix will get shot down now, but he picks up all of the information he could have been dreaming of here. I feel like ShoWTimE is in a fantastic position to play against mech, because we're in a position here where ShoWTimE is already on the 3rd base, he's already gone into good upgrades, he can now decide how to change his tech choice as he goes into the Temple Archives. He can really design his game around the fact that FanTaSy is playing mech, and one of the better parts of mech is that it's not meant to be so great, especially if your opponent, it's good because it's a bit of a surprise factor. It's not used a lot, but if ShoWTimE knows this early, has a lot of time to choose how he's going to reply to it. Just going to be seeing the Stalkers here, getting some damage on the Banshees. What's up, Smasher Monkey? Thank you so much for the 200 bits. Cheering on FanTaSy here as we will see, unfortunately, FanTaSy's Banshee shut down. No damage done at all. ShoWTimE continues to defend impeccably at the moment. No damage done at all. As we do have just a couple units coming over to the right side, and you can see that ShoWTimE will take a further back 4th base. Against mech, this forward base is going to be very easily pushed from this high ground. So taking the 4th base over to the top side makes a lot more sense on this map, especially based on the composition of FanTaSy. In general, I kind of like this 4th base for Protoss players a lot more. But you will see a few of them taking this position here because they want to push forwards themselves, and they don't want to be dragged all the way to the right side. If drops are going to be hitting their natural, then they're very out of position. This base is better for drop-based defense, But obviously, against mech, you don't really have many drops to deal with, so that's where we're at the moment. Pylon drops in on the right-hand side. What server they're playing on isn't the ping very high for one of the two players. We play on fairest server rules, so if it's Korea versus Europe, 99% of the time we go to NA Central, which means the ping is about 130 to 160 for both of the players. Around there. Obviously, some players it's still going to be a bit less. It depends on your connections, your routing through to America, but it's the fairest where the players are going to be within like 30 to 40 ping of each other. Obviously, if you play on Europe or if you play on Korea, one player is going to have a 300 ping advantage, and the other player is going to have no ping. So, yeah. This is pretty common, though. It happens in the majority of tournaments when you have multiple players taking part. The only times it happens in tournaments that doesn't really have a thing is when it's like, this is a European tournament, but it's open to all, right? So it's like, we call them kind of European server tournaments. So you say this tournament's going to happen on Europe, but we're not going to restrict you from playing if you live in Korea. Just know that you're going to be playing with a pretty big ping disadvantage. At which point, it's obviously the player's choice to then take part. Cyclones will knock down a hallucination out of the sky. 4 more Cyclones in production still, as we will see. Hellions, Cyclones, tanks, and a Raven pushing out. This army of FanTaSy seems ready to go. Now, ShoWTimE's around on the map, intercepting a couple of Hellions, so there's only going to be 2 left, and, well, there's a cannon there as well. They didn't even have blue flames, so that's no problem at all. Good defense right there. Still seeing a Hellion, Cyclone, and Siege Tank force pushing up the right-hand side. Hellions morphing into Hellbats. Cyclone's going to get a lock on towards the Archons. Stalker getting shot down as well. Doing a very good job of this at the moment here, as we will see. Double tank sieging as well. Probe on the top side picked off. Observer shot down. Thank you to the Raven for that one. ShoWTimE is split up to engage from 2 sides, which is, of course, rule number 1 of engaging a tank-heavy army. ShoWTimE is going to deal with a very annoying siege tank position here, tucking them away into this corner. Makes them very difficult to engage. The Cyclones are trying to bait units into them fights when they don't really want to go for it. ShoWTimE getting another Zealot ready to go, and he's already engaging on the left-hand side. He isn't coming in from the top, though, and that is a mistake from ShoWTimE. That was not a fight he actually really wanted to take right there. Now he comes in from the top, but it's a bit disjointed. He's also in the bottom right, though, so he is coming in from a bunch of different angles. There's a couple of Mortals and Archons trying to make it up this ramp here, and they will kind of just about make it. One Immortal left on the right. Feels like ShoWTimE has maybe just lost a little bit more. All said and done, the last couple of Cyclones are very annoying units to have still alive because you don't have a lot of units to really shut down the Cyclones' kiting abilities here. And there goes a Stalker, there goes an Archon. ShoWTimE and FanTaSy trade out massively. Lock-ons coming down on both the Observers, but not on the Immortal, which will be saved. Now 2 more Immortals, 3 more Archons brought into play. It's just this left side army came in a little bit too soon. Great 3-way attack from FanTaSy, but again, this left side was just a bit too early. Lost a few too many units there. If it wasn't for that, that would have been perfectly executed. Now we're only really on Hellion Cyclone. Now actually a higher Stalker count would be very nice to be able to blink in and to kind of shut down those Cyclones rather than having them kite away all day, every day, which is obviously going to be the frustration here. You can see ShoWTimE, great usage of the line of sight blocker. Gets behind there, and now FanTaSy will take the chance to try and dodge some Hellions up in towards this mineral line, try and deal some economic damage as he is on 4 bases of his own. The worker counts are pretty comfortable from both players. Tell you what, ShoWTimE about to have 3-3. That's a big upgrade advantage he'll have for a little bit. Cyclone's pulling back down the right. Drilling Claw's about to finish up. 6 Widow Mines in production too, as the Hellions of FanTaSy go up the left. Moving forwards, a couple more Zealots warping in, and Probes here. Gonna be caught off guard as well, as they're going to try and run, but obviously lining themselves up. Somehow only 5 go down from the first shot and no more from there. Unfortunately, does lose a High Templar in the process, but, well, it's still just so many Cyclones. And now Widow Mines. What the Widow Mines do, it stops the Stalkers chasing into the Cyclones, or it stops anything chasing into the Cyclones, really, and obviously that's very frustrating, as you can see ShoWTimE's a little bit afraid there. A couple of lock-ons do get to go off. It is a multi-prong, though, from ShoWTimE. Again, a couple of Widow Mines starting to go off here. Stalkers will blink through, but they get blown up. But however, here's the thing. The Cyclones kind of got themselves stuck in a corner, so ShoWTimE will chase through for pretty much every unit killed there. One more Zealot blown up by a Widowmine. He needs to get an Observer over here. He doesn't have any yet. Needs to try and kill these Widowmines. If they get to go off again, that would be a disaster. This is like 20 plus supply that should be dead. If only he had the Observer. He needs it ASAP. Where's it coming from? Maybe a bit too far away. We'll blink in over here, but the Widowmines off cooldown. The Stalkers taking hits again. Well, he is there with the Observer now. He will start to make a couple of kills, couple of pickoffs. He scans to try and get the Observer. He will lock onto it, and the second one flies in. Oh my god. 15 probes go down. Meanwhile, as Hellions run by, and ShoWTimE is falling apart here. These Hellions are still not dealt with. There is a new Observer out. Still need to deal with those Widowmines, which is obviously now getting very expensive. 26 probes have fallen. What a loss. What a loss, as we're going to be seeing FanTaSy Widowmine, Cyclones, and tanks up to the top side. 5th base coming up from ShoWTimE as well, and man, ShoWTimE's just had a really rough couple of minutes here. I really liked it when he was taking that 3-way fight, but since then, it's really not gone so well for him, as we'll see Cyclones coming forward, locking on. War Prism here to cancel some of those lock-ons. The Widowmines have just made this a very unengageable army, and what do you need at this point? Do you go Disruptors to try and clean up those Widowmines from a distance? What do you do? It's very tough to know what the correct response to that is, as that's a bunch more Stalkers killed off by Cyclones, catching them off guard there. FanTaSy's going to go up this ramp in toward the base position between the natural and the third. He will get himself again just a few more gateway kills, as at the end of the day, I mean, he's just kiting back these Cyclones, doing a great job of trading efficiently. FanTaSy pulling back once again. Cyclone lock-on is very good, as we're going to be seeing Archon still taking a lot of damage. The Immortal pulled back and saved there again, as we're going to be seeing the Hellions just taking a little bit more damage. Archon's re-engaging one more time, and just going to be having those couple Stalkers lifted back up, as we're going to be seeing Archons pulling back just that little bit again. Cyclones, Hellions, trying to see what else they can do. Widowmine's going to come up this ramp and burrow themselves on the ramp. ShoWTimE's getting towards maxing out, but can he find a way to trade against this? I'm still not convinced that he has a way to deal for Widowmines, actually. Problem is, he's been so focused on rebuilding what he had before, he's not been able to improve his composition by adding anything new here. And these Cyclones are just picking up a ridiculous amount of kills. It's actually crazy. Every time they lock on, they do so much. That Prism is somehow not dead. Here he goes, Elves and Stalkers coming from the left-hand side. Widowmines go off all over the place, though, and again, such an expensive set of losses. Some Widowmines here will be cleaned up as well. Scans and gets the Observer. Are you kidding me? A new one shows up, but man, how many times are Observers going to get picked off this game? 10 Observers dead in 15 minutes. FanTaSy is on an Observer killing spree. They're meant to be invisible, they're meant to be hidden, not to FanTaSy. He scans them every time. ShoWTimE in danger of dropping down to the lower bracket here, where he'd play the winner of Mana Clem. Cyclones coming forwards again, couple of lock-ons. Immortal's taking some damage, pressing forwards, and extra Archon's going to finish morphing in a moment or two. 5 more Stalkers warping in on the 4th base, and again, just seeing more Hellions being taken down. Archon's getting locked onto as well. Widowmine's going to unburrow, move up to the top, and Observer here from ShoWTimE coming down to try and I don't know, try and defy the law of Observers in this game, which is that every single one just dies anyways. There is nothing, that poor Observer, man. Every Observer in this game has had the worst time. ShoWTimE goes across the map, will set up a counterattack, finally something to make FanTaSy turn back around and to focus up on the other side, because otherwise he's just been completely controlling this game. ShoWTimE is trying out for some attacks again, but now he's got Liberators to deal with as well. Oh my god, the War Prism dies to a missile turret that built underneath it. Are you kidding me? What goes right for ShoWTimE here? Absolutely nothing, apparently. I mean, he does kill 10, 11 SCVs, so he does deal some damage, but at the end of the day, is it really enough to change anything here? He's going to be able to kill 1 Liberator for 4 Stalkers and gets a couple more SCVs. ShoWTimE is still running scared every time he tries to approach this army. It's just so unengageable. It's so difficult to get in there. No, well, one of the ShoWTime's bases that was still mine is now found. FanTaSy realizes the ease of denying this base. ShoWTime will recall to try and shut it down. Blinks in. The Cyclone numbers will be denied, and the base will survive on 9 hit points. Not pretty. Zealots here wanting to run in Hellions and Cyclones nearby, so this is immediately just not an effective trade, right? Zealot's going to get picked away in a pretty effective manner. Liberator sieges up here defensively. ShoWTime going to counterattack. I mean, I like these moves from ShoWTime rather than fighting the army, going around and denying, bases and economy of FanTaSy. But is this just being done a bit too late? I really think like this would have been a cool move a little while ago, and ShoWTime has just not been able to do it before now because he's been kept so busy. He's been kept in a very difficult position. He's coming around here now. Widow Mines are going to get Stalker kills again. I mean, Stalker's just going down every single time you see those Widow Mines just burrowed anywhere close to the Protoss bases. Top right base goes down. Probes are being killed as well. Here we go. FanTaSy coming in from the left. ShoWTime coming in from the left. Is not going to do much on the right at the same time, though. And again, you just don't have the numbers, ShoWTime. Down half the army supply. Not looking good at all. As we are going to be seeing just a few more Cyclones pressing up to the top. Pylons taking some damage here. The Cyclones continue to fire. The Archon taking those few extra shots as well. The Cyclones will now go on and target down this Nexus. So Nexus is going to drop on down there. And, well, now ShoWTime is pretty much all in. And I feel like when he loses his next fight or so, it's probably to the point of being GG because he's lost so much mining. Yeah, you denied a base over here, sure, but there's a base in the bottom and it doesn't even take another fight. ShoWTime types out